I didn't find enough honest reviews out there about this kayak before I bought it.
It's back here in the back tank well. I mean, it's it's full. Oh wow, yeah, there's a lot of water in there.
I want to get this review out to you guys of the Ozark Trail Pro Angler 12 / Sundolphin Boss SS, and so I really hope this is helpful for you.
Hey everybody, it's Cynthia the Fishing Mommy. Well, I've just made it out on my local pond, and this is the maiden voyage of my brand new Ozark Trail Pro Angler 12 fishing kayak. This is the one from Walmart. It is actually the same mold as the Sundolphin Boss SS. So you might have seen videos out there talking about this boat. I'm going to take you guys with me. I'm going to be doing some fishing. This is not going to be a full review of this kayak. However, I am going to fish from it today and give you my general impressions. It's a really inexpensive kayak. I bought mine for $497 at Walmart here in New York. Reason that I am upgrading from my Lifetime Tamarack Angler 10. One, I wanted a longer boat. I wanted a little more space. I found after fishing out of the 10-foot boat for a while, I really like to spread out and bring a little bit more stuff with me. I'm a maximalist, so I really wanted to give the 12-foot length a try. I also really like this boat because it has a 500-pound weight capacity, and again, when you're bringing a lot of stuff with you, that makes a big difference. I'll get to the seat positions later, but I am sitting in the high position. This boat is also standable, so I'm really excited to give that a try. There we go. First cast from the new kayak. I'm trying an experiment here. I'm paddling the kayak into the wind. Honestly, the Lifetime Tamarack Angler was surprisingly very good at tracking. I don't know if I should really compare the two because that was a strength of that boat. With this one, I'm definitely getting where I'm trying to go. I don't think I'm going to be winning any speed records. But with this tri-hull design for stability, the trade-off, of course, is speed and possibly tracking. There's one thing I really don't like, which is the placement of the forward rod holders. I think I'm going to have to put some rod holders right here. I can't reach those up there. So one really weird thing about this boat is even though it has 8 scupper holes molded in, there are only 4 that are drilled, and those 4 only have a 1/4-inch hole drilled through them. So that's pretty weird. Odd that there's like foam coming up out of them. I'm not sure what that's about, but they are draining the deck. The deck is pretty dry. I mean, honestly, I have no complaints with that.
The paddle that came with the boat seemed like a very low quality, and it was actually pretty heavy and very square. I'm using my bending branches paddle. In this next clip, something really unexpected happened. I had gotten my lure tangled up in a laydown, and I went over to get it out. And in the process, I bumped into this submerged tree, and this is what happened.
Oh! Okay, that was scary. I think all that happened is my seat fell. Okay. Alright, well, I guess I'll stay in the low position. Stuck on something. Oh, I'm stuck on a fish. Goodness gracious. I had no idea there was a fish there. That is bizarre. I thought I felt a bite, and then I thought it was just weeds. Wow. Let's get you back in there. There you go. Now that I've got my first fish in the kayak. Is that a turtle? If it is, I think it's dead. What is going on there? Maybe it's not dead. But there's a ton of water inside this hatch. So, and a random screw. So, you know, hey, $500 kayak, I'm not expecting Hobie, but that's a lot of wire inside the boat. I'm still not brave enough to stand up in this thing just yet, so I'm doing a lot of very not graceful motions. Alright. So my crate up in the front seems like a good idea, but I'm not sure I like that until I get more used to standing in the boat. Poke him in the mouth. Oh, okay. Oh no! Alright. About the same size. Actually, a little bigger. Nice. You ready? Okay. And my sweet little bass. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my day. Overall impressions, the boat is not as stable as I had hoped, or at least I'm not as steady in it as I had hoped to be. I do think that somebody without leg injuries and who was lighter than myself could probably stand in this boat and fish from it. I honestly am just not brave enough to try standing in it. It is not a dry ride at all. There's a lot of water in the back tank well, like inches, I think. I've got my hand in there. I can't really show you right now, but you can hear it. When I opened the quote-unquote dry storage hatch in the front, there was a lot of water in the hull of the boat, which of course is concerning. You're always going to get some water in the hull of a boat, but this is a lot of water in the hull. It kind of makes me think that I'm going to have to go through and seal all of the factory screw holes in the boat, because that's obviously where water's getting in. If that's not where water's getting in, I'm in real trouble. The other thing I have to do is really figure out where I'm going to put my stuff, because if I'm not able to stand and walk to the front crate, it's really difficult to access things that I've got up there. That's going to do it for the time I have right now. I will film kind of an overall impressions once I get back home.
Now, before I continue with my critique, I do just want to point out that on paper, this kayak is fantastic. It has every feature that you could possibly want.
Okay, so I've just finished my maiden voyage, and I just want to show you guys how much water is back here in the back tank well. I mean, it's it's full. That's certainly troubling. That's not great at all. I'm not thrilled. What the heck is this? That doesn't look like it should be floating around loose. Oh wow, yeah, there's a lot of water in there. I think that all of these screws are leaking like crazy. Sure makes it heavier with all that water in it.
Okay, so it's a few days later after my first fishing trip in the Ozark Pro Angler 12. I wanted to take a little time to digest my thoughts about the first time bringing it out on the water. It was not what I had hoped for. When I bought this kayak, I specifically wanted two things. Number one, I wanted to be able to comfortably and confidently stand up. And number two, I wanted more space so that I could bring more things that I could reach readily when I was out on the water. I was probably really optimistic, thinking that a $500 boat from Walmart would make me confident enough to do that. As you can see, I am very short, but I'm heavy, and so I really needed a big weight capacity. This boat is rated for 500 pounds. This kayak really struggled with my weight, and I really struggled to stand in the boat. I am not 500 pounds. So I'm going to talk through a few things that happened. I didn't show this in the video, and I probably should have, but the metal crimp on the rear tank well bungee popped off the first time I pulled on the bungee. Another thing is that this boat does have two paddle keepers, but the first time I hooked the paddle to one of the metal crimps on the end of that one came off as well. These are really minor things, but to me they're indicative of the overall quality control that a brand offers. Much more importantly though, there were a few issues that I took very seriously. One was the seat collapsing when I was sitting in it. It collapsed from the high position to the low position for basically no reason. As you see in the video, I lightly bumped into a submerged tree and the seat fell down with me in it. I wasn't hurt, obviously, and it was fixable, but it was not pleasant and definitely did not give me confidence in the boat. Since that happened to me, I looked up this issue, and it's actually happened to a number of people. A lot of them are saying that they believe that the plastic on the boat is so thin that it's flexing too much, and that's allowing the seat frame to collapse when it's under any real pressure. The plastic on the deck of the boat does flex quite a lot. The boat paddled pretty well, but honestly, the tracking was really not good. I don't know if I truly gave the kayak a fair try on this point, because that day had a lot of gusty wind, but I did notice that I really had to struggle to keep the boat tracking straight. Another thing about the design of this boat, the seat position was really far back. Now, admittedly, I'm really short. I'm only 5'1", so I'm not going to fault them too much on that. But I've even heard men who have this boat say that they can't really reach the front rod holders either from a seated position. So I felt like the seat position was really far back in the kayak for a couple of reasons. Number one, you couldn't reach the front tank well very well, and you couldn't reach the front rod holders. But the other thing that I thought was kind of an issue is that it really back weighted the boat so much. As you'll see in the video, it caused that tank well to really fill up with inches of water that never drained. One of the biggest issues that I had with this kayak before I put it in the water was the weirdness around the scupper holes. There are 8 scupper holes molded into this boat, but of those, only 4 are even drilled through at all and have an opening. And those 4 have only a 1/4 inch opening to drain water out. The other thing about the scupper holes is the placement. All of the scupper holes are placed from the middle of the seat forward in the boat. There are no scupper holes behind the middle of the seat, which could explain why there was so much water in the rear tank well of the boat when I pulled it out. The other thing that I was really disappointed in was how much water was inside the hull of the boat when I beached it. There was at least 10 gallons of water, and guys, that's 80 pounds. That's a lot of weight to add to a fully loaded 80-pound kayak. I don't expect a perfectly bone-dry ride from any kayak, but when you have 80 pounds of water inside the hull on the first outing that you take a boat out, there is something wrong with that. I'm not here to rage on Sundolphin or Ozark Trail Walmart. What I am doing is saying, if you are thinking about buying this kayak, if you really want a $500, ultra budget kayak that on paper has lots of the features of the higher end, then please just know in advance you're going to have to unscrew every single screw that fixes any hardware to this boat and Loctite or put marine sealant around it to minimize the leaking inside the hull of the boat. Ultimately, I decided that I did not want to invest the time and effort into doing all that, so I actually strapped it back up onto my car and took it right back to Walmart. I no longer have the Ozark Trail Pro Angler 12. I took it out on this one fishing trip, caught 3 small bass in it, was very unhappy overall with the performance of the boat, and so I did return it. I'm not saying that it's the wrong boat for everybody. For me, it was not the right boat. I'm actually working on a big surprise that's going to make a huge difference in this channel. So I've got something to share with you guys in a few weeks. But in the meantime, I did want to get this review out to you guys of the Ozark Trail Pro Angler 12 / Sundolphin Boss SS, because I really think it's important. I didn't find enough honest reviews out there about this kayak before I bought it, and so I really hope this is helpful for you guys. Thanks so much. If you have questions, please leave them down in the comments below. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you later.